Podcast, your home for the horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. I'm your host, Brodinky. With me always is my good buddy, Schmidt. Schmitty, it's been a little bit of a long week. We've had a little bit of a delay here.
Yep.
All is well, but how is everything?
Everything's good. I mean, I had a buddy reach out to me. He's like, "Hey, man, are you guys okay?" He had a late delay on the episode this week. I'm like, "Yes, we're recording tonight. We'll drop it for tomorrow." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "Kind of screwed up my whole week, so I'm gonna give you a shout out. You know who you are." But yeah, nothing's wrong. It's just sometimes being two working full time dads, both with two kids, things get a little crazy with the holidays and planning stuff and trying to make the most of everything. So apologies for the late Monday drop. Obviously, this is recording on Wednesday, but we're here and we're ready to give you guys a great episode for your Thursday morning commute.
Yeah, we actually had some stuff sort of drop in the meantime, so we'll have a few extra things to talk about, which is nice. Yeah, things over here are pretty good on my end.
Yep.
Just a little hectic, work, kids, family, et cetera, et cetera. But aside from that, all is well, pretty much. Had a fun little celebration of San Gennaro the other day, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so all is well on that end. Also hit 35K in the follower department, which is pretty exciting.
I saw that. I saw your little post. So again, I forgot to mention it to you, but congratulations.
Thank
That's
you, thank
a
you.
big achievement.
I do sometimes take a few days just to sort of decompress after something like that, because once you start to get in reach of that, you start putting in a little extra work. You start to try to get yourself over the hump, and then after that, you sort of just like exhale.
Yeah.
So sometimes
and then
I'll just
give a couple of days and then on to the next milestone. 40.
Yeah, exactly. And I even had some people check in and they're like, "Hey, man, are you all right? You doing okay? I know you haven't," or like somebody was waiting to hear back from me, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm all right. Just this is not my full-time job, believe it or not."
I just need a minute, okay?
Yeah,
I'm not like all these other paid watch influencers. This is
for
not
real,
my full-time job.
for real. Aside from that, we are about 60 something% sold out on the men wear pink straps, which is cool.
I like it. That's a nice increase from last week.
Somewhere around 14K in the bank, which is great.
All right.
Exciting. So again, if you want one, grab one, because we only have like 200 some odd left. So definitely hop on while you can, because they're not coming back.
Yep. This is it. This is it. If you need to get anything for the holidays, you need to get anything before for October, it's coming up quick. Get it now. This will be your last opportunity to get it.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Other than that, just kind of counting down to wind up weekend eventually. It's coming. It's down the pipe, but it's coming fast.
Yeah. And you are attending, right?
I'm gonna be there. Yeah, I will be there.
Fantastic.
I will be able to hang out a little more than I did last year, which will be nice. Hobnob with the folks, rub some elbows. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, last year, I was a little pressed for time. I was nice enough to. It was nice enough to be hosted on the panel by Kathleen, but
yeah,
I more or less like risked my job to do that, so that was fun. Like I had planned to take that day off, and
yeah, I remember you were telling me.
And my boss was like,
"But I took that day off."
He's like, "Hey, just a heads up, next weekend or whatever, I'm gonna be out." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be out." I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, no."
He was getting surgery or something.
My wife,
right?
He's like, "My wife's getting surgery." He's like, I gotta tend to her." I'm like, "Crap."
Oh god.
But I literally was like, I was like, all right. I looked at the schedule. I was like, all right, we're not that busy for most of the hours. I just told my guys, I was like, I'll be back later. Just hold the fort.
Yeah.
I feel like nobody checked up on me. They were just like, yeah, okay, he knows what he's doing. Whatever he's got something going. It's okay. So I was like, and
yeah, it's fine. It is what it is.
I didn't hit like a monsoon of traffic driving back from the city, but had I been put on the spot, I'd be like, listen,
work is temporary, clout is forever.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I had to do it for the gram. if I got busted, right, that would have been it.
Work is temporary, clout is forever.
Not only that, I mean, they really couldn't afford to fire me, so it is what it is.
Wait, hey,
I don't work there anymore. It doesn't matter. I can divulge that.
You're not there anymore. Exactly. No. You're not there anymore. No. On to bigger and better things. And we're here for it.
Yeah.
So that and I was gonna say, so this is coming up when again?
I think it's the weekend of I think it's like 20th to 22nd, 21st to 23rd, something like that. It's like the third weekend in October.
Okay. And then okay, when is Zodiac and Warner Wow launching this thing here?
Oh, there is something coming up. That looks neat. I don't know what it is, but it's something they're teasing video games. I don't know if that means maybe they're launching at like Barcade or something because it's in Brooklyn. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out without putting in a
Yeah.
crazy amount of effort and giving a damn. But
But it looks like something neon-y and cool.
neon
And
retro, maybe a
yeah.
little like a something further along the line of the thing they did last time that looked like the Trapper Keeper,
Yeah, okay. Yes, yes, like
right?
that 90s
The Zach
refresh.
Morris, yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that's still probably one of the best looking Zodiacs ever launched ever. It was great. I was here for it.
Well, somebody like in the comment section on the actual post was like, "Please rip this," and I was like, "This is my childhood in a watch." I was like, "I don't know if I can do that." I was like, "This is like
Yeah,
my upbringing."
yeah. There's like, I'm sorry, bro. You're gonna have to take a backseat to this one. It's like this reminds me of Laser Quest, laser tag with the homies.
Yeah,
That's like we're not tearing this one down. We're building this one up.
yeah. This reminded me of the gigantic binder that I had with that was like
Well,
a
you said Trapper Keeper, and like literally 50% of our audience has no idea what the hell
yeah. I
you're
was
saying.
wondering if anybody knew what that was. The Trapper Keeper was like the old. It was the binder that you got once you started to get into a grade that was high enough to have different subjects, and it was just
Yes.
the black hole abyss of papers. I never knew where anything was. I lost my homework every day, but it was in one spot. I just couldn't find it.
And that was the brand, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it was the
It
brand.
was Trapper Keeper.
It was like a padded. Usually, it was like padded on the outside. It had a funky design, like that bezel on that Warner Wound collab,
Yeah.
and it like velcroed shut. So you were like, "Oh man, yeah!" Like there was a South Park episode on it, the Trapper Keeper, where it like keeps expanding and it's like swallowing the town.
I don't think I've ever seen
You got to
that.
see it. It's a good one. I can't tell you what season, what episode. There's so many, but it was a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, okay. So it was called the Trapper Keeper. But I guess when I was going through, it was like they didn't call it the Trapper Keeper, but I knew of the Trapper Keeper. But it was like we had the 5-star, the
Oh yeah,
binders.
yeah. That was
I,
the next evolution.
I was gonna say
Five
it must
star.
have been like the next one after the Trapper Keeper.
Yeah, that was what you got after you graduated from the Marble Notebook.
Got it. Got it. And for all of our ladies out there, your Lisa Frank binders too. We can't forget
Oh my
those.
gosh. Dude, I remember those. I was like, what the hell is this monkey brand, man?
It's like a bunch of like neon animals, and I'm like, all right, okay, I'm
Between
here
that
for it.
and like and all the kids who had Asian family members all had like the Karopi stuff and I was like, dude, I people are getting all this animal stuff. I don't know where they're getting it from. It's like I don't have these options. What the hell is this?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you'll be happy to know that you can still buy a Trapper Keeper today from Mead. So you
Wow.
can Google them. They still are in funky 80s designs, and
They
you
have
can buy
stood the
one.
test of time.
Apparently, they've stood the test of time. So you can go get you a Trapper Keeper right now, baby. But yeah. So 5-star was our more conservative, boring, black, nylon-y binder, which was not as cool. But it had 5 stars on it, so it meant it was quality.
My favorite was when you used to like throw your backpack and it would like it wouldn't break the rings, but like it would offset them and they never met properly again. And then your papers would just get stuck and
Yeah.
then you were just doomed. You
Yeah,
eventually you just had
there
to
was
throw
no
it away.
coming back from that. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
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 And then there was always of course the times where you would accidentally get your finger caught in the closure of the rings. Oh man, that was the worst. Did that ever happen to you?
I feel like we used to do that when you were bored. Like you would just like put your finger in and close it and you'd be like, ah, and then open it again. Like you see people in
Well, like some people would like do it slowly, like on their fingernail, to, like feel like
that's
kind
yeah,
of
that's
like
what I'm talking about. People
no,
I
but
would
I'm
see
like if you were actually like you were not paying attention, you close the ring and like your pinky was in the way or like your finger was stuck in the
no,
ring
that's
on
like
the
zipping
shut.
my fly. I've never
Oh man,
got
I had that
myself.
happen to me on more than one occasion, and it was absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. Definitely one time I drew blood for sure. Because I mean, back then they didn't have the soft close. They didn't like you
There were
had to
no
use.
rubber tips. It was
no rubber
jagged
tips, and
metal,
you had to use
tetanus.
both. You had to use both of the wings, if you will, to open and close it at the same time.
Yeah.
Now they have these little soft touch that it's only on one side opens up
Yeah.
all
The one I
three
have at work
rings.
is like, I'm like, this, I could have used this.
It's not as exciting or as dangerous, but you know what? We grew up in the era of danger,
Yeah.
and that was fun too.
This is definitely a safety upgrade. This is like the Volvo of binders. Anyway, enough fucking binders.
Got to bleep that one out, dude.
Um, anyways, I guess before we leave housekeeping, can we put a nail in the coffin on the what if Swatch collabs? Because I don't think people understand that like they're only going to do collabs within their own branding. Like, can
Yes,
we
yes.
stop with like the ALS? What if ALS and Swatch do a collab? They're not going to do that.
It is not mutually beneficial for A. Longanzana or for Swatch Group to
It
do a
doesn't make any
collaboration together.
sense. Like,
Not gonna
what is
happen.
it? Like, I keep seeing this like throwaway garbage content where it's like, yeah, okay, you mock something up and really just change some color patterns and stuff, but like, it's not going to happen. Don't like,
No.
just stop.
It's definitely not gonna happen at all, at all, at all, ever.
You know, if you want to say, okay, what about Longi? Sure. What about Geo? Okay, but going outside, Rolex and Swatch are never going to collab. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. Stop it.
Rolex and Tudor would never collab. Okay?
Yeah, they don't even go within their own brand. Forget about anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what do you expect?
You know, it's the same
What do you
thing they
expect?
did with they were like, well, I think it was when the original Moon Swatch came out. They were like, what if Rolex and Timex? I'm like, I get it, they both end in X, but they're not. That there's nothing there.
It's like there's absolutely no relation.
So, anyways, I felt like I just wanted to get that out there because it's been building
You
up inside
you
me
know
for
what?
over
You do you, boo.
a couple weeks. You know, I had to get
You,
that
boo.
out. Oh,
He's like, I'm over this crap.
all right. Anyways, we have a ton of new stuff here to get to because,
Yes, we
like
do,
I said,
we
we've
do.
been a little late. It's been a few extra days, and whenever that happens, people just love to throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
Yep.
So, I guess we'll start with Oris gave us a new Diver 65 chrono,
Yeah.
which is I would say definitely an upgrade from the old one because the old one was 43 millimeters big, which is okay but it was
It
also
was a
like
thick boy.
18
It was a thick
thick.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was rather large. And, you know, there's some domage on the crystal and all that. I know it's a diver and a chronograph. So what do you expect? This one is much slimmer. This one's down to, I believe, 15.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
40 mils, which is really a nice size. Has we're going to throw up the air quotes, Oris caliber. It's not a caliber movement or anything. It's sort of a modified Oris movement, we'll say it is. But it's not
Yeah.
like it's not right. It's not in line with their caliber 400 or anything. It's sort of just a modified generic movement they've thrown in, which is fine. But you know, I think people are looking for those now in every single Oris model that comes out. Now that they've been putting them in here and there, and they're impressive and they're standing the test of time and they're pretty positively received so far. So I think we're looking for those. And like I said, it's okay, it's fine. And this is sort of you know, they don't do a lot of chronographs or anything, so understandable, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a solid pick.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice evolution. I think a lot of people, like the idea of the for the Oris Chrono, but the original one was way too large for most people. Comments on this are honestly mixed. People are still concerned about the thickness, even though they did shave about 3 millimeters. I mean, we're still talking around 14, 15 millimeters thick for this chrono. And people are like, 40 millimeters at 50. And then that's the other thing. I didn't understand when people started getting so crazy about thickness. Like, this has been going on in the watch industry forever. There's always going to be a concession for something.
Yeah. And there's also more than one dimension that play there. You have lug to lug, you have, how it's going to wear different depending on a few different factors, not solely thickness.
Yeah.
I mean, what you call it? The what was it? The Zin 35 was it 356? Anyway, they had like a 38 millimeter chronograph, thick as hell, but everybody loved the damn thing and nobody ever said anything bad about it because it wore great. And it's just a matter of, working out the proportions.
Yeah. Yeah. I can say the only hang up on this watch for me, again, people are gonna roast it to pieces because of thickness, of water resistancy, of the movement time, because it's not technically an Oris in-house caliber. It's based on the Solita 510 chrono. All of that is irrelevant to me. the only thing that I'm hung up on this watch is I just think it's a very boring release in terms of colorway. Black is obviously safe. It's obviously conservative. It looks great. There's nothing like not good looking about this watch. It's just for me, knowing that this chrono has already kind of existed in a previous iteration. If it was me and if I was Oris, I would have come out with something much more fancy or much more daring in colorway.
Well, you know
Like
what? Since,
give me
since
a
you
white dial red bezel. Like why not? Just throwing out an idea. You know what I
since
mean?
you've already hitched your wagon to Kermit, why not just throw some like neon green on there somewhere? Neon
I
green
mean,
bezel, neon green
yeah.
dial, something. Neon green
Just
hands. I don't know.
just give me something funky. Like it's a diver 65. It's a chrono. Like okay, I get it. Black is safe. It's easy to do. But why not do something electric blue or green, like you mentioned, or red and white? I mean, whatever. But that way it would distinguish this watch from the rest of the older versions, and now showing everybody that this is a new design. To me, I think that that makes sense, and that's really something that I would have loved to see with this watch. But you know what? At the end of the day, if you like it, go buy it. If you don't, you know what? Don't buy it. It's a pretty novel idea.
Yeah, and they've done color pretty well in recent memory, which makes me believe that maybe they will going forward. Maybe this is just sort of the introduction and they'll build on that. You never know.
I mean, again, it's just it's a cool watch. It looks nice. It's $4,000. 4,400. So you got to swallow that price point. And I think that's also one of the big hangups too for other people. Me, I could really give crap about this, but when you start hitting those multiple $1,000 price points, people start getting persnickety when it's not an in-house movement. I think at $4,400, like you're kind of on that cusp where a little bit more you should be looking at something in-house. If
But
somebody
yet
put their
people will clamor for Etta Blackface.
yeah,
Can't please anybody.
make it make sense.
Can't
Like
please anybody, my
make it
friend.
make sense. It was funny. The same guy that I was talking about earlier, on missing the show on Monday. We were doing a late night text session. He just like did a random eBay purchase for an ETA based Pelagos. He's like, I want to get the new one. I was like, don't get the new one. Don't do it. And he's like, why? I was like, don't. I was like, the original OG Pelagos will still forever reign supreme. If they could do that in a blue with two lines of text, it'd be over. I'd be signing up, calling my AD to get one. But he did like a late night eBay purchase. He's like, "Oh, I may
Hilarious.
have bought this watch." And I'm like, "Oh shit, you were not joking. He just pulled the trigger."
Wow.
Full send. I was like,
Impressive.
good for you, buddy. You're going to get a great watch."
Very cool. Uh, I know I sent these to you. Maybe a few people have seen these. Orient put out four new colors on the Bambino in 38.
Yep.
They were supposed to be available through their online store on, I think it was like September 19th. Anyway, a few
Okay.
days ago, I reloaded the page like every 5 minutes to see if they came up. They never did. It just kept saying out of stock. So either they sold out in 3 seconds or they were never available. I don't really
Got
know.
it. Got
But
it.
but the colors are really, really cool. They're all like super muted
Yeah.
pastel. You have like a very soft robin's egg blue. There's like a very light maize color, a copper, and like a plum, but they're super subdued
Yeah. Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
look really good. And I really want one, but apparently they're only like 300 each on allocation, and they're saving 30 of them for Japanese domestic only.
You
So
know,
again, I don't know
um
if they just ran right out of them or if they never did. I have no clue, but I wanted one very badly.
gotcha. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, they look sweet though. I saw the photos. They look sweet. And these are Bambinos, yeah?
Yeah, Bambino in
Yeah.
38.
Yeah. Great looking watch. I mean, again, and it's a classic for one of the most inexpensive watches you can possibly get. And actually, we haven't really talked about the Bambino a lot on this podcast. I feel like that's kind of like every podcast is like first foray is like Bambino, Bambino, Bambino. But you know what? Great watch anyway. And if you can get one of these cool watches, do so because they look sick.
Yeah, and now I know they also made some newer ones in the, I think that bigger, I think it's 41 size,
Yeah.
and they look nice, but I want this.
Yeah, for sure.
The other ones
There's
are
no
when we have this
question.
at home.
There's definitely no question at all. There's definitely no
So
question.
I don't know. I don't know if they never went on sale or if they did and they're gone already, but I wanted one to say the least.
Well, if anybody's got one out there, hit up, bro.
Yeah, except Christmas gifts. So no.
Slide into bros DMs.
We got I don't know where I fall on this one. Sega put out a Bruce Lee watch.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. I mean, it's they have ties to Bruce Lee because they have a watch that's sort of informally named after him, and he wore a Seiko, which is also cool. And this watch is sort of representative of him in the way that it has a dragon on the dial. His movie was titled Enter the Dragon.
Yep.
It has a quote around the bezel. Um, it says something like, like no limit is your limit. I forget what the second part is, but it's some very intellectual quote, sort of saying
Yeah.
that don't put limits on yourself, and your way is no way. I think is the other part, or something like that. Sort of just be your own person.
Yeah. It's
So,
like was it Adidas like impossible is nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
right.
I saw what you did there.
It's sort of based on their 5 sports models, which are they're not bad. I mean, like everybody kind of accepts that they're not the SKX, but they're decent for what they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean
black gold accents, um, black leather strap,
NATO
which is
strap.
yeah, I've seen it on the black leather, or you can get. I think I've seen it on a yellow NATO.
It's yellow NATO with a white piping or
Right.
with a black piping. Yeah.
So again, kind of neat, cool affiliation. It's okay. I think you're right about that.
I mean, look, this is a you're gonna love it or you're not gonna love it. You're gonna appreciate the collaboration or you're not gonna appreciate the collaboration. I think, if you were gonna do a Bruce Lee watch, I would have done, something in the speed timer variety and just done it kind of more retro inspired to look like the watch he actually wore. I think that would have been a cool way to do the
Would have been
collaboration.
very cool, especially because they
But
just put out some sort of retro vibes.
exactly. So that would have been, in my book, a more sensible way to do it. But I understand this one because, when you think about Bruce Lee, you think about his yellow and black like suit, like his fighting
Yeah,
suit
that's a
from
classic.
Enter the Dragon. I mean, like I totally get it. I totally respect it. Giving you Kill Bill vibes because that was inspired from his wardrobe. So I totally understand it. It's not something that I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. You know what I mean? But it's not a poor looking watch in any way. Like it doesn't look bad. I think it actually looks kind of cool. I'm just not somebody that's going to run out to buy this watch.
Yeah, I guess it sort of matters how strong the tribute resonates with you.
Exactly.
Sort of.
Exactly. But it looks cool. It's got a cool dragon on it.
And apparently he designed that dragon, that's nice.
Oh, really? That's even
So
more cool.
it says the dial has a dragon image that was designed by Bruce before his death.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
So
I get it. I get it.
pretty neat. All right. We actually have some interesting Bulova news. So a
Yeah.
watch that I've always liked, I've never owned, but I've always liked the Oceanographer. It's a diver. A lot of people know it as the Devil Diver.
Yep.
It has a little upgrade.
It does.
So there's
It
now
does.
a GMT version, which is pretty cool. And it comes in a few different flavors. Now you can get a Pepsi with a blue
Hmm.
bezel. That's cool. They also decided to go gold tone. I think it's gold. It might be rose gold, but it looks like gold tone with a root beer layout.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely rose gold colored, but sick.
It looks
Really good.
pretty good. Like I was telling you before, I think this looks like a better version of the Black Bay GMT.
Yeah. I
In
would
root
agree with
beer.
that. I would agree with this. It's
I don't,
because
it just looks
because
more cohesive to me.
it's more cohesive, but it's more cohesive because they went full rose gold.
Yeah,
They didn't do a two
they didn't do
tone. They
two
went
tone.
full rose gold, leaned into it hard and heavy, which I respect. I understand. It makes sense. It's something cool, and this is the second of three colorways.
And then the third one is sort of off the reservation. You're getting full loom.
Yes,
And
baby.
what would you call this 24-hour scale pattern? Because it almost looks like a roulette wheel, but it's certainly not roulette. But it looks
Yeah,
like the
I don't
alternating
know,
numbers
man.
on a roulette wheel. Either
Yeah,
way.
I mean, we could call it a roulette chapter ring or a roulette, roulette GMT or something like that, because it's
It doesn't alternate red and black, but it looks like the alternating
oh, dude, and you know
spaces.
what? I didn't even notice it until right now. It's the only one that has a 24-hour scale on the dial.
Yes, the other ones are around the bezel. This one's on
Got
the
it. Because
inside.
this one has, see, I love it
Yeah,
even
this one
more
has
now.
a true
A
dive
true
bezel.
diver bezel. Oh man, I love it even more now. Okay, that's cool. That's sick. I didn't even notice it. I already love that watch, but now I love it even more. This is my pick. That one is really, really, really cool. So basically, you have a Devil Diver, Night Diver GMT with a roulette GMT 24-hour scale on the dial. It's sick. And I'll be honest with you, man, the original oceanographers are cool. I have the Devil Diver like when it first came out. I still have it. Um it's a funky little watch. It's cool. And I've had friends borrow it. They're like, "Man, this is so weird and cool." And the size proportions back then they were 45 millimeters because
Right.
it's like a barrel shaped case, but it's these are 41, so they're smaller in diameter. You're getting what looks like a nicer treatment of superluminova because that was my only complaint with the other ones. The lume is just not great. But what I love about them is the 3D effect of the actual hour indices because they're basically like little tiny
They're
like
like
clear,
cylinders.
they're cylinders, yeah. So it
It's almost
almost
like
looks
when
like,
you're looking at a coin and it has three dimensionality sort of coming up at you.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is so cool when you see it in person. Because when you look at the dial, it looks relatively flat, but then as you start tilting it on angles, it's like this is like somebody applied this onto the dial. It's like a three-dimensional cylinder of superluminova, and it's like in housed in like a capsule almost,
Yeah.
which
Very cool.
is it's so cool. It's a detail that you really can't appreciate until you see it in person. But this is a very cool launch. I love each colorway for a different reason. Obviously, can't go wrong with the Pepsi. The root beer is really sick, but you guys know where my sensibilities lie. That GMT Typher bezel version with a full night dial configuration is definitely where it's at.
Yeah. Now these are priced a little heavier than the original the
Yeah, they
original
are.
oceanographer at 12.95. However, I'm sure if you just wait till they come on Joma Shop, they'll be 700.
Yes, 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 yes.
But I definitely think these are cool. It's very novel, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If those prices come down far enough, I think I'm gonna jump in on a root beer because I think that's fun.
I mean, why not? Right now they're like 1,200 bucks, 1,200, $1,400 depending on which one you get. But I think that they're cool. It was completely an unexpected launch.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
It's just completely out of nowhere, which okay, I'm here for it. I have the other one. Maybe I'll move that one on to allocate some funds for this one. This would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, bracelets look pretty good too. I gotta say.
I mean, in this one, I will say the hardest thing for me in the first generation is it's really hard to put that watch on other watches,
Mm,
or other
other
straps, I should
straps.
say, just because the lug to lug is 20 millimeters, but this where the pins and the holes in the case are located, it's so close to the internal part of the case that it makes it almost impossible to even put it on something like a NATO, which is pretty difficult. So hopefully they corrected that. They moved the bracelet pinholes a little further down on the case so you could actually make this more of a strap monster. Because I would love to rock this on a tropic or something like that. That would have been more
Yes.
period correct.
Yes. All right. Timex put out a Marlin chronograph. Now I do
Love
believe
it.
this is a quartz chronograph, but they give you a Jubilee bracelet and they've got sort of a silver panda look to it. And there are a few different ones. There's a blue, there's a green, there is blue, green, the silver panda, and you can also get the silver panda on strap. The other two, I think, I can't tell if they only come on strap or not, but um, overall, not bad. It just feels like they tried to go two different ways at once with this
Yeah, with the
dial,
dial.
like because you have sort of the funky Art Deco numerals on them, but also stick indices. And I know you can get away with that, but just with the three sub registers and the 430 date window, there's just a lot going on there.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. I like it. It just, yeah.
I mean, 199 on bracelet, 179 on strap, really not horrible, even if you have a couple qualms about the watch. But I think it looks good.
No,
I think they're primed for maybe doing what they do and maybe coming into an automatic eventually or a hand wind or something.
that would be really cool. Like do a seagull movement eventually, do a hand wind.
Yeah,
But I
I
mean,
think so.
as we've seen, I mean, they're pivoting even more to mechanicals and even like American made mechanicals, right?
Yep.
Or Swiss made mechanicals, I should say.
Mm,
So that's going to be very cool.
Yep. Yep. So these are pretty neat. And then also while I was skimming through these, I also stumbled upon a and I'll air quote diver because it only has 100 meters, but um, it's it's a really neat looking harbor side, which is sort of like their diver-ish looking watches, and it looks kind of like a regular old sub homage. It's got a Cyclops, it's got your pretty standard dial layout, Mercedes hands, but it's got this insane color. I guess it's teal, but it's more of like a green than a blue. It's almost like a sea foam, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
sunburst, and the color combination with the black on black tropic looks really, really, really good. And I'm just telling, and these are 43 millimeters, and I'm just telling you, Timex, shave this thing down to 3940, drop an automatic movement in it, and just enjoy your money. Like people will buy the hell out of this thing. Just
Yeah,
just do it.
that would
Just
be
do it.
sick. That would be sick.
Because like this is one of those rare occasions where the color is so good looking that I think it would just sell the watches on its own.
Yeah. And if you make this an affordable price point, let's say it's 150 bucks, 200 bucks with auto, even if you keep the water resistancy at 100 meters,
Yep.
who cares? I just think it's a good looking watch.
Sure is. Sure is. So something neat. Check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Plowing along here. So Tag dropped a pretty novel thing, right? You heard of the night diver. Now we have a night driver.
Which I like.
I do too. I think it's a neat watch. So it's a Monaco format. The pictures show it illuminated and it looks like it's another black and teal watch. It is not.
It's
It's
black
actually
and gray.
mostly, yeah, it's black and gray, and then it illuminates to a teal color when you're driving at night. But yeah, it's neat. It's definitely really neat. I know that there's a joke somewhere in the movie Cars that he doesn't have headlights because you don't race when you race at night. The track is lit, so so you don't need headlights. So I don't know if you would need a racing chrono that lights up, but it's a neat trick either way. And when you're driving your Porsche at night, you need to know what time it is. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I love this watch. I have very few issues with it. Like I mentioned to you, my biggest qualm on this one is just I really need clarification as to when Tag uses a right hand drive crown or a left hand drive crown on the
yes,
Monaco,
yes,
just because the original was always left hand drive. Like that was the way it was designed. And so for me, if you're gonna make a cool, unique chrono version of the Monaco, like why wouldn't you do it in the left hand drive version, which I know you have access to? I don't know if it's a cost saving thing, like maybe that movement's more expensive, or I don't know. But either way, I love this watch. I think it's a very funky, cool watch. It kind of reminds you of like something like Bamford would do, but like a production version,
yeah,
which I like. I love the fact that they incorporated the teal accents in the movement as well for the column wheel, for the actual text on the rotor. I think that's pretty sick. It's just overall, it's a great looking package. And I love the fact that it's not teal all the time,
yes,
right? Like it's a very wearable watch. You can certainly, dress it up. And when it has that great party trick where it does illuminate in that teal colorway, that to me is really, really cool. I love the fact that Monaco and Tag Heuer are in Loom too, which I think is a missed opportunity for so many brands. Like, why don't you do Super Luminova for your logos as well?
yeah, that is nice.
It's just all around. It's a great watch. It's black and titanium. It's 39 millimeters. It's automatic chrono. Like this is pretty sick. It is a hefty price tag at just under $10,000 at 9,550. But to me, I don't know, man. I'm gonna go on a limb and say this is probably one of the best Tag Heuer releases of this year, if not of the last 2 years.
It's pretty damn sweet. And the only thing that's really gonna, like you said, sort of come up against it is as soon as you approach that price tag, you're also in like El Primero territory. Like you
Yeah,
you start
yeah.
to you have a lot of options there, which is sort of a detriment to sales, but I get it. It's not a common model, and it's something neat and novel. So we'll see. But I agree with you about the crown. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is there, and I'm
Yeah,
curious. I don't know if there's a
because they do both.
tag
Like
fanatic out there knows.
like you can buy Monaco's right now with left hand drive crowns, or you can buy Monaco's with right hand drive crowns. And I don't know the rationality as to why they do one or the other. Because if you remember the titanium Monaco that came out earlier this year, like that, it was like the racing blue version, silver dial, blue sub dials,
Yes,
like lime green accents, a really great watch. We loved it as well. It's 39 millimeters titanium, but it has a left hand drive crown. Like, why? What is the difference here? I don't understand. Like make up your mind, I guess, or is it maybe just to keep us guessing? I don't know.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
So I'm just kind of like, okay, all right.
All
Is
right,
what move? What? Okay, so maybe it's a movement thing because
okay.
so the one I'm looking at here is a caliber 11, so it looks like it's a modified movement of some sort. It's not like an in-house movement per se, and that's going to have the left-hand drive crown. And then the other one, you'll notice too on that version, it only has a traditional two subdials.
Yeah,
The Night Driver actually has three, but they don't really accentuate the bottom subdial, which is the running
I
seconds
see that. Yeah.
subdial. And that one has a right hand drive crown. So it's a nicer movement. I think it's more of an in-house caliber because it's a caliber. Let's see, it's a caliber O2, which is their in-house chrono. So maybe that's what it is. It's just a movement
All
thing.
right. All
But
right.
I don't know, man. Like make the O2 have a left-hand drive crown. Like let's call it a day
For old time's sake.
for old time's sake. Go back to your roots.
Yep. I'm sure you've seen this one because it's an Omega. It goes right along with the sort of black and teal theme of this year. I mean, I think
Yes.
that's sort of just since the IWC Patronus, it's been pretty hot and just staying hot right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
There's no question about that.
there's a black and teal Planet Ocean. I love the way it looks. I think this color scheme looks amazing on this watch. I've said that I wanted a new Planet Ocean for some time. This is a very nice refresh for me.
Yeah, I love it. I was surprised by it, especially given the colorway, because again, people are going to immediately draw the conclusion of like it's the Patronus watch, which I completely understand. As an Omega fanboy, I 100% understand that. I 100% respect it. But if you think about it, if you go even further back in time, before the Patronus watch, there was the Omega Planet Ocean Casamigos, which also had this colorway. I don't know if you ever saw that one. It was a Mega Planet Ocean GMT in ceramic, but it was the Casamigos watch,
It's
and it
not
had
in it's not in cahoots with the tequila brand, is it?
it was
Oh, was it?
it was yeah.
Oh, because Clooney, right? Is that
Because
why?
yeah, it
Okay.
was so Clooney and Randy Gerber, who is subsequently Cindy Crawford's wife, who's also an ambassador. They made the Casamigos brand, and to celebrate, they basically asked Omega to make them a timepiece collection of I think it was like 80 watches, but it was a black all
Oh, look at this
ceramic.
thing.
It was sick.
This is actually sweet as hell. They should have made this like
They did,
widespread.
but they only made it like 80 pieces.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
And they sold out almost immediately. You could not get them anywhere. I think there was only like, I don't know, 10 or 15 available to actually purchase. But when you got it, it came with a bottle of the Casamigos Mezcal, like in the box.
Oh, sick.
It was gangster. So this watch came out well before the Patronus watch did, but it was the first execution of kind of like this turquoisey black color scheme that we saw from Omega. And so this is kind of returned to that. It's almost like a spiritual revival, in my opinion, of the Casamigos because it's still a Planet Ocean, still black ceramic. Obviously, you have more teal and turquoisey accents here, which again, it's playing into the ETNZ logo because they just recently changed their corporate logo for their racing team to now include turquoise. So I understand where the colorway comes from. It's another racing thing, but all in all, it's a cool watch. I don't think it's obviously for the faint of wrist, but this watch looks amazing. From what I understand from the people that have heard some of this information from like Omega trainers and salespeople, it's supposed to come with I think 4 straps. So you have like
That's
the
neat.
black rubber strap with the turquoise accents. There's an all turquoise rubber strap, which also looks sick. And then there's like apparently two NATO straps too. So it's going to have quite the customization that you can wear the watch with. It looks amazing in the product rendering photos and in the live shots as well. So I'm excited to see this when it hits the stores. I can't imagine we're going to get uh too far out before seeing this. Like I think it's going to be pretty quick.
Yeah, bro, I need this. I need this Casamigos watch.
Dude, isn't it sick?
This was, yeah, this should have been a bigger production.
It's
I would
it's
own one of
kind of
these.
like it's totally a grail for sure.
Damn.
Totally a grail watch, and like almost nobody knows that it existed.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
It was such an under
That's
the
tight.
radar
That's
launch.
tight. Wow. Okay. I learned
Yeah.
something today.
Casamigos.
That's
Yeah, you're like, is it kind of like the liquor? I'm like, yes.
yes, that one. Well, I was like,
100% like the liquor.
and then I put it together because for those that don't know, George Clooney is on the bottle of Casamigos. His
Yeah,
name is on it, signed on it. As you know, he's also an Omega ambassador.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
always
yeah.
got he's always in all the Speedmaster ads. So two and two together, some quick math.
Yeah, and actually now they don't even own the company anymore. I think they both sold it, but I think they have like a minor share in the company still, but
Yeah.
it's cool and it had the box was so sick. If you ever Google like get a chance, Google the Casamigos box because it's very funky design on the box.
Yep.
There's a glass lid with like an etching in it to match the like it almost looks like when you chop like the agave plant, like those like kind of ovular shapes it makes from the petals or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like etched like that on the top, and then it had like a travel case for the watch to sit in, and then it had like a little cutout for the bottle of mezcal to sit in.
Wow.
It was so cool.
Interesting.
It was a very interesting Omega launch for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, we can move on to what everybody wants us to talk about today, and that is the new Tudor FXD.
Ugh, do we have to?
Yeah, I think we have to.
Ugh.
But we'll roll it into something as I mean, I sort of jested that this was a novel color change on their part, mostly joking that like, it's a lot like the one we have, just same but different.
I just I can't. I don't have the emotional strength.
Now, I know the blue one is supposed to be sort of representative of their French Navy roots. This one, I believe, is supposed to be
Yeah, it's U.S. Navy.
US Navy roots, sort of a
Yeah.
mill sub homage-ish type thing.
That's what they're trying to lean into for the marketing purposes. I mean, look, the only ever watch that was issued to the Navy was a Tudor Submariner, and subsequently at one point, Rolex Submariners as well. That's it. There was no FXDeez. There was none of this Pelagos nonsense. Apparently, secretly, there's been a Navy SEAL unit, SEAL Team 6 unit that's been testing these in the field for the last year. Who knows? Watches of Espionage covered that. Again, I don't know if it's true. I haven't been able to do my own independent research to find that or conclude that that is factual. I'm not saying he's lying, but at the end of the day, like I can't find anything that says to the contrary, or says anything that backs it up. So he obviously has maybe some more internal sources that would make sense. He's a former CIA guy, but regardless, this is a very uninspired, boring release for me. I get it; it makes 100% sense. Is it a good looking watch? Absolutely. But every single time they launch a new Pelagos that is not a 500-meter diver, does not have a bracelet, does not have the amazing clasp that it did, I don't care. Okay. This 39 millimeter nonsense, fixed slugs, I don't care. It is so uninspiring to me. It's a great looking watch. There's no question about it. It's just, to me, it's boring. And then on top of that, you're not even going to put your Metas movements inside. I don't get it. And they're like, oh yeah, but now it has a unidirectional bezel. I'm like,
Okay.
hey, awesome, cool. Because the Marine Nationale didn't have one. The Alinghi Red Bull Racing version didn't have one. Okay, great. So now we have a unidirectional bezel. It's a traditional diverse bezel now. Okay, great. Again, why? I mean, like, I cannot be the only person that is like bored by this watch. And they're leaning so hard into this Navy thing. And it's like, Navy didn't wear this watch. Why not release a Tudor Submariner? And then I'll be excited. And that's the thing, is like the way that they were teasing it was going to be like this amazing revolutionary launch. And it's not. But again, that's par for the course for a brand like Tudor, because their parent company is Rolex. They're going to tease everything and get you so hyped up, and then going to drop the most nothing burger of all nothing burgers, and you're still going to clamor to go buy it.
Yeah, well, they checked a lot of the boxes here. You got red text, you got quote unquote military heritage, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, sure.
Shout out to our buddy Matt McD who went out and picked one of these up right away.
I know, Matt. I'm not trying to hate on your watch. I know you like it. Look, at the end of the day, like I said, it's a good looking watch. It's just, for me, it's a very uninspired watch. Does it look great in a collection? Yes. But do you know how many black dial divers I have in my collection right now, bro? Too many to count.
Well, I think what it is,
I don't need another one.
I think for a lot of people, this is as close to a Submariner as you're going to get nowadays.
But that's a whole separate problem.
No, 100%. But I think a lot of people are willing to settle on that. Is sort of where I'm.
And see, that's already the problem. That's already the problem. Willing to settle. But I agree with you. I agree with you.
You know, I mean, you know where I stand. I mean, I just want a more wearable version of the Apex Predator, and then we'll just call it a day. The Alpha Dog Pelagos, but I don't see that ever coming again, because it would be too high of a mark. At that point, all the rest of them would seem like they didn't make sense, because you just kept not giving it to us.
But arguably, they don't make sense. That's the problem I have with this watch. Is arguably it does not make sense. I understand the FXD aspect of it. Okay, cool. It was fine on the Marine Nationale, but then we got it on the Alinghi version, and now we got it on this version. Like, give us a freaking bracelet. The Pelagos, arguably of all brands, had one of the most amazing commercial production bracelets ever conceived by man, and they killed it.
And they have the new like sort of T-fit situation they're doing. Again, it would still be an upgrade, but you know, if you're fixing your lugs, it's kind of out the window.
It's ridiculous. Whatever. I don't care. I'm done talking about it.
But I am with you on the movements, which it's peculiar because they keep talking about all their movement advances, and then you only see
they're not advancing any movements.
Well, you only see them ever so often. Like, you know, you see brands like, you know, like Zodiac, who are now doing chronometers, who are, you know, and they're just throwing it, you know, putting it in their watches slowly but steadily. But like that's a pretty steep, you know, there's a pretty big divide between those two companies.
100%.
You know, if one's doing it, the other one could certainly do it more often, and should probably, especially considering they're not getting any cheaper either.
Yeah, I mean, all of these Tudors are chronometer graded movements. There's no question about that. But like, you already have the technology for a master chronometer. You are touting this gigantic factory that you built, you know, and like, everything's in house.
Shots fired at Omega.
Like, yeah, we're coming for Omega. I'm like, not at this rate. Not at this rate.
You know, and then you have like your Omegas who are putting out stuff like the Spire 8 movements, and you have your Zeniths that are putting out these insane, like, crazy chronographs and stuff. Like, those are the people who are like pushing envelopes on movements. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And while, you know, a Black Bay with a meta certification and everything is awesome, like, it's sort of just here or there.
Yeah, but but that's the thing, is it doesn't make sense, and it's sporadic. Like, we didn't get in all the other Black Bays. We just got it in the Burgundy. We got in the Black Bay Ceramic. We didn't get it in the Ranger. We didn't get it in the FXD. We didn't get it in the Pelagos 39. Like, we didn't get it in any of these other watches.
Right, and you think a Ranger would be a perfect one because it's similar enough to something like a Railmaster,
100%. 100%. I mean, hell, you make this Pelagos, and I misspoke earlier. This is a 42 millimeter. There is the Pelagos 39,
Yeah.
but the Pelagos 39 looks exactly like this watch. Am I wrong?
No, but it's the same thing. It's sort of a nerfed down alpha
Exactly.
Pelagos. Yeah.
It's like the OG Pelagos at 500 meters water resistance, titanium case and bracelet, external diving strap with extension strap, micro adjustment bracelet with ratcheting system,
Best bezel
and
ever. I
and
just remember that. Clickety
it
clickety
was
clickety.
it was a godsend
It
watch.
felt like a marvel of engineering when I owned it.
Absolutely. And the legacy of the Pelagos, when I see it, it's so watered down on these new ones because it's not a Pelagos. It's a 200-meter rated dive watch. Might as well be a 60 Submariner.
Yeah. And I think that's the angle they're playing because the modern today's sub is more jewelry than anything.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
saying it's
mean,
not a capable dive watch. What I'm
they're
saying is
they're
people
not they're not
wear it. It
making
is
watches
it is
for
worn as
adventurers. They're
a
they're
a
making
garment.
watches for yeah yeah. They're not making watches for adventurers. They're making watches for Wall Street bros,
Right. That's where it is.
so they can show their loom at the bar. That's it.
Hey, you see my magnifier?
And again, a Cyclops. That's how you know it's quality.
These are 21 millimeter lugs.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God. Well,
Ugh.
buddy, I hope you enjoy that new tutor that's coming to your house soon. I think it's gonna be sick.
So
And Matt McD, I do honestly hope you enjoy your FXD. I'm not trying to throw monster shade at you, but just personally, I have no desire to own
well,
it.
no, I think it's more just frustrations with the brand, frustrations with the directions. I mean, we've said it time and time again on here that they have the ability. We know they're sort of just always going to be hampered because you don't want to
Yeah,
you don't want to outkick your coverage with your bigger brother. But
yeah,
it's just frustrating. You know that the ability is there to make like truly top tier stuff, and they make
100%.
very 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 high caliber stuff. But it's almost like it's like when you see someone and like they actually dress decently for once, and you're like, you clean up pretty good. You should do this more often. And then they just
Yeah.
never do ever again. That's exactly what this is. They put out like one watch every once in a while, and you're like, oh, this thing kills. Do this.
And then they're like, no,
Ah,
no.
I'll give you 83%.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. Well, speaking of innovation, speaking of brands that do push the thing, I mean, that's kind of the basis of our topic today. Yeah.
Right. And that's sort of the issue here is that Tudor does do some stuff on the other side, right? We talked about their movements and what they have made those strides, which is cool, right? We've seen that they've been able to make even a modern sort of big block, which is cool that they're never going to recreate, which sucks.
I
We
don't know. They might. Who knows? It's such a it's such a hard brand to read right now that I really don't know. I can see them saying F it and just doing it. And I can also see them saying, like, yeah, we did it for Only Watch. That's all you'll ever see. Ha 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 ha. And they'll never do anything again.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Right. So I don't know, I don't know if they're going to play they like to play the different size game, the different color game. I'm not sure. I think people are waiting on a new North Flag, maybe a North Flag GMT, something like that. I think that's what everybody's waiting for is what's your next move as far as that goes? Because we've seen modifications on your other watches. We've seen stuff like the Royal, okay, but like what's your next, blazing salvo here?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now for me, there's just no diversity in their collection. It's nothing but Black Bay and Black Blade lights. Like the Pelagos at some point, abstraction wise, can still be considered a Black Bay because it's got a freaking snowflake hand.
Yeah.
You know, like give us something different. Like now everything's freaking Black Bay. You're becoming AP, where everything's basically going to be a Royal Oak, and that's all anybody's going to ever know you by.
Yeah. And then you have, I mean, like you said, you have brand. I mean, look, you have Christopher Ward making chime complications, right?
Yes.
And again, that watch isn't necessarily my cup of tea, and I'm not going to go out and get one, but like I can appreciate it. I can appreciate what you're doing. I can appreciate that you were, considered a very micro brand at one point, and now look what you're doing here, which is neat. It's cool.
Absolutely.
It's something very neat, right? I mean, we talk about Fair a lot. I think they do a lot of neat stuff. I mentioned Zodiac. I think they're trending in the right direction as far as that is concerned. We've seen them use case materials like ceramic. We've seen them, like I say, churn out a chronometer movement, which is very cool. Compared to where they were even just a couple of years ago, I think they've made leaps and bounds. I think that's their goal, is to keep sort of trying to push the envelope in that price range that they're, sort of that under 3,000 ish
Yeah.
range
Yeah.
that has sort of been vacated by everybody. You can even, like we were talking about before, the Oris is $4,000. I mean, that's sort of the going rate for an Oris nowadays, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're seeing even the Diver 65s move up and up. So they're sort of entrenched in that little space with like them and like Zin. I mentioned Omega. We know that they've sort of done the master chronometer thing almost throughout. We know that they're big on anti-magnetic. We know that they definitely churn out some crazy stuff. I mentioned the new speedy racing. I thought that was a neat sort of innovation. I mean, it's something, like I said, it's building on something. It's not just putting out something for the sake of, here's something else.
Yeah. And I think that that's the big thing. So, I mean, while you brought up Omega, we'll just touch on this because this is the brand that, it's very near and dear to my heart. And I know for a fact that anybody who's I've interacted to or interacted with, at some point, they didn't think that they liked Omega. Usually they come across with a different perspective and they start taking a look at the brand because it is one of the most impressive brands in the watch industry, period. But what I love about them is they're able to combine technology, history, all of these amazing aspects of their brand's lineage and still make an innovative and exciting product but still make it fun. Like they can do an ETNZ in turquoise and black. They can do a Casamigos Planet Ocean, but then they can do a Seamaster 1948, or a CK859. Like they can marry these things together and they're still delivering it with amazing and impeccable technology. That's the thing that I find the most. I mean, they released Spy earlier this year. To my knowledge, none of them have hit the market yet. But we didn't really talk about this at length because I don't know if I knew enough about the system at the time that we didn't really dive into it. But I mean, you think about Spy Rate. From what I understand now, this will allow a watchmaker to fine tune the rate of a mechanical watch by 1/10 of a second increments. Okay. The range, according to Omega specifications, will be 0 to 2 seconds a day. That will be the range, which means that you can fine tune that watch by 10th of a second increments to run at 0.2 seconds a day, 0.3 seconds a day in 24 hours. That is more accurate than Grand Seiko Spring Drive in a mechanical timepiece, which is insane. That doesn't even make sense to me because nobody in the watch industry is really doing anything like that. That's nuts. And this is going to be a commercial production technology? Holy crap. What else is going to get Spy Rate?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
I mean, who's going to want a Daytona when the Daytona's like, yeah, plus or minus 5 seconds, I guess, maybe?
Well, you can't have one anyway, so.
I mean, you can't, but again, even something like an El Primero, they're not giving you that type of accuracy range. They give you an ultra high frequency, which is cool, but you're not getting, 0 to 2 second accuracy. That's nuts. There's nobody that I can think of that's doing that outside of maybe like a Tourbillon. But Omega still does that too. So I don't know, man. Technology is insane in the watch industry right now. So who would you say would be kind of your big guys for technology? Like what would be your big brands?
Well, that was my thing, right? I look at the sort of the most recent Speedmaster iteration, right? They gave you a vintage bracelet with new technology, right?
Yep.
They gave you the classic look with all new, everybody said, oh, the movement, it doesn't do this. Well, now it does. Now it's master chronometer.
Yeah, yeah.
right? Um, it's just like that's the type of thing. Like, okay, we're taking the old, we're taking the new, we're moving it forward, we're advancing it, right? And that's exactly what I wish Tudor would do.
Yeah, I agree.
Is not just give me one or the other or a little
Make it
taste of both.
consistent.
Give me everything and push it forward.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for. So, like I said, I think of an Omega. I think of a Zenith as far as the crazy frequency watches, their hummingbird movements and things like that are just like sort of mind blowing in that respect. Where you're just like, you just have to say, wow, like somebody built this.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You'll see some of the crazier stuff, your ALS, your independence, your
But
constant force tourbillons and stuff like that.
but those for me are not super like technology. They are in the sense of like certain movements, especially when you are talking about like constant force tourbillons and like that. But most of your elongazona movements are just like they're just beautifully done.
Right, they're aesthetically insane.
They're aesthetically
Right.
pleasing. It's some of the complications. Obviously, you can have like big dates and you can have the data graphs. I totally get that. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but my point is for me, there's more of a focus on artisanal watchmaking practices versus high technology developments for those movements. I mean, I guess based on extrapolation, it's still technology, but for me, it's more so preserving the artistry of classical and traditional watchmaking versus something like when you look at master chronometer or working with different types of new movement technologies to make a more robust, more practical movement for today's audience. I think that that's a difference.
Right. And then
Obviously,
there's also a big gap there between a more commercialized offering that's going to be sold in high numbers
100%.
versus, oh, we made 10.
Yeah, this is where the idea of industrialization comes in, right? And again, I hate to keep bringing up Omega, but this is something that they've done very well. Like when you think about coaxial escapement, okay, this has been at the heart of every Omega for years and years and years. This came out in 1999. It was, inspired originally by George Daniels, great master watchmaker. He worked with Omega to industrialize this technology, and Omega took his concepts and built them into production pieces that could therefore be scaled. Because when you think about Daniels, he only designed his watches were, one or two of them were prototypes with coaxial escapements. A couple Speedmasters, a couple Rolexes, a couple Pateks, things like that. But these were one-off pieces. They weren't industrialized at that time. So you're thinking about technically a concept watch, if you will. And then for a brand to take that and be like, okay, the concept works. Let's scale it to 100,000 units a year. Let's scale it to every single collection within our family line. That's the idea of industrialization. And there's not a lot of brands out there that can meet up with that idea of industrialization. Like even Tudor right now, like they're doing great things, but the problem that I have is like it's inconsistency. Like why does every single one of these new Tudor watches not have a Metas movement inside? Are you afraid you're going to cannibalize from your Black Bay 41? To me, if I was a collector, I'd be like, hell yeah, give me all of these technologies into one. I'll buy all of them. That to me makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't understand the vision and I don't understand the thinking here. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's tough. And I'll say it's a tough crowd to please because
Sure.
the even the spectrum of the watch enthusiasts, there's such a broad span of people who care about specs, tech, all the way over to like purely aesthetics
Yeah.
to sizing, comfort, and all that other stuff. That's tough. And then you also have to consider the sort of the non-watch folk who have sort of just been lured over,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
who really don't have anything that they're looking for. They're just like, oh yeah, cool.
This is a watch.
Right. This is a watch. And oh, it's accurate. Cool. All right, yeah, great. Like
I can see the movement. Cool.
meanwhile, really they're probably like, wait, what do you mean some watches are not accurate? Right. They all everyone just assumes they just all run on a dime, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. Have you ever looked up the rate for or like the accuracy tolerances for like an AP?
Yeah. But I mean, even just like
Don't do it. It will shock
the
you.
myriad of forum posts of my watch stopped. What the heck? And you're like, yeah, no, that's it's automatic. It doesn't have better.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like,
Ooh,
you know. But I think that's also part of it is that there's no pleasing everybody, which is always a tough waters to navigate, I guess you'd say.
yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree. But
But I
there are
think but being able to produce something on massive scale, deliver it, and put it into several different packages is always has always been impressive to me. It's something that I sort of tip the cap to.
yeah. And I know you were asking about this with regards to technology, like kind of like compiling a list of who are big things and big technology brands are. And I'm gonna have to give it out to one brand specifically that, in preparing for this podcast, I didn't think I was actually gonna admit. But I think when you think about material science and construction of watches, maybe not so much on movement quality, but more so construction of watches. I really have to say that I think Hublot is one of the most impressive technologically speaking in terms of its design and case construction of any watch brand out there.
That's interesting. I mean, I know they've done a lot of they've done some pretty neat stuff recently. I remember they did those sapphire cases, I think
I
it
mean,
was.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very good at ceramics. They're very good in sapphire construction. But not only that, they're able to do this in colors of sapphire, which requires different heat treatments, which requires different types of manufacturing processes, and then to make the entire case out of this material, and in some cases, a full bracelet as well, which is an engineering marvel in and of itself, and still make it aesthetically pleasing and beautiful. Because when you make something that's completely or semi-translucent, you can see it from every aspect of the watch. So you had to design it in such a way that it still remains aesthetically pleasing and beautiful to not only protect the movement and everything inside of it, but still make it look good to wear.
Right.
And as much as I'm not a Hublot person at all, you could give me a million of them, I would not really wear them. I can respect them for what they have done to innovate and industrialize this technology. To make a lime green sapphire case is probably not an easy feat of engineering. And to make a full fuchsia or purple Big Bang tourbillon on a full bracelet is insane to
Yeah.
me.
That's a feat.
It's a feat. I mean, it's nuts. So technologically speaking, there's very few brands out there that are doing something as innovative and as amazing as something like this. So I got to give credit where credit is due. Again, I'm not a Big Bang guy. I'm definitely not going to go buy a Hublot, but I can certainly respect how they build them. Because their sapphire cases are pretty sweet.
Yeah. No, that's it's something to be said, especially for material science. I think that's a neat sort of boundary to push nowadays. We didn't talk about those IWCs now that I think about it.
I mean, yeah, we can mention them now.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind
I
of goes hand in hand with materials,
right.
I
Yeah,
guess.
that's well, that carbon-ish case sort of brought me
Yeah,
back
it's
to it.
CMC. CMC is
See,
apparently the
Christian
technology.
McCaffrey. Now,
Yes, yes, yes,
no, so it's a specialized ceramic matrix composite.
yes.
That's what CMC is. Um, yeah, it's some sort of a crazy mix of sort of it looks like forged carbon and ceramic.
Yeah. They say instead of like a it's made into like a ceramic matrix versus like a polymer matrix. I
It's supposed to be
I'm
tougher.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's basically creating a forged carbon that's going to have somewhat more ceramic like properties. Because here's the big kicker with carbon. Like you think of something like an RM, right? An RM, let's say average price point for an RM is what, $250,000, right? $250,000.
One house.
One house, whatever, it doesn't matter. You buy something like that, you scratch it, you dent the case. How do you fix carbon? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. So at $250,000, let's say that's the entry door price for your RM, and you scratch it, you dent it, you misshapen the case in some way. Now it's a case replacement. I don't know about you, man, but I certainly don't want to find out what the case replacement cost of a $250,000 watch is, because I cannot imagine it's going to be inexpensive. But it's super lightweight. Well, yeah, but there's the trade off, right? So something like this potentially might give you better ability to have much more wear resistancy. But we'll see. They said the same thing about BMG Tech, and I've known a lot of guys in the forums that have broken BMG Tech watches from Panerai.
Wow.
Like anytime you put glass in the name, it's already not great. That's what BMG Tech is. It stands for bulk metallic glass.
Broken mother glass.
Yeah, basically. If you're ever curious, just do a Google search for BMT, like G Tech watches broken. It's like it's not pretty.
Yeah, but
Dudes
these
have
are
broken off full cases and stuff.
yeah,
It's nuts.
but these are sort of a big pilot uh iteration, and you can either get them in uh armor gold, it's called,
Yep, yep.
or this other sort of composite crazy case. But it's they're kind of neat. I'm sure they're plenty expensive. I didn't even look at the price because God knows that they are. But they're in collab with Mercedes,
Yep.
right? And yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think they look really good. I'm not even going to look them up price wise.
Especially on the armored gold.
Right, and that is the Big Pilot AMG G63.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Just because I remember we had spoken about it and then we didn't get to it, but perfect segue there. But yeah, but these are the things I think about, when we're talking about cases like that. I mean, even the new Doxa carbons and stuff I think about when I think about because those aren't, again, crazy priced for what they are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. And I know a lot of people have done sort of the carbon thing lately, but these are sort of the forefronts that people are innovating on, and that's I guess what we have to appreciate when other brands are just putting out sort of ho hum stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like there's probably some other people I'm leaving out, but that's probably about it for me. I mean, I think we got on long enough about this, but
Apparently there's not a lot of technologically advanced watches out there.
no, there definitely are, but I mean, it depends what you're getting into. I mean, like I said, we talk about the sort of the crazy engineering of things. We talked about materials. We talked about whether it's movements or aesthetics. Then you have sort of the really crazy stuff, like your Grand Seiko Kodos and stuff. It's with tourbillon that's meant to be worn every day. Like, yeah, that's crazy, but like again, it's sort of out of the realm of realistic possibilities. Like, it's gonna run you however many hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
For most of us, those watches might as well not even exist, because at best you'll be able to you'll be able to hold one.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
So
And I heard even still, like those Grand Seiko tourbillons, like the accuracy range is pretty high. Something like plus 15 seconds or something like that. Somebody was telling me about this, and I forget where it was, and I didn't look it up, so don't hold me to it. But somebody was telling me that, and I was like, that's kind of high for tourbillon. You think it'd be probably the most accurate?
yeah, and I sort of just tune out after a while because it's just so unrealistic and something that I'm.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't even matter.
I'd like to focus on things I could maybe one day own.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it also matters. I think price point matters. Like I said, I think you have some people doing neat things at every price point. Like I mentioned, Christopher Ward is doing some wild stuff for what they're setting out to do. And you're always going to find micro brands because that's sort of their thing. They're sort of offering the bang for buck. They're always going to try to offer a little something extra, which is nice.
But they're also the proving ground.
Yeah,
They're the proving ground, and essentially in many ways, as much as the big brands maybe don't want to admit, they are the proof of concept. They can do a little bit more exploratory things. They can do a little bit more fun things because they have the flexibility and the freedom and the independence to do it. And so they can do it. I mean, that's why Seaward is giving us a chime watch. Now, granted, it's not like a minute repeater chimer, but every hour it chimes ding, and lets you know, like a grandfather clock, that the hour has passed. I think that's pretty freaking cool. It's a tie into classical watchmaking. Why the hell not?
Hold on. I know earlier in the show I was talking about collabs that will never happen. Let me try to hold this up real quick, bro. What does this look like? I know you can't really see the picture.
Is that an RM?
Dude, this is an Invicta.
Oh God.
Bro, Invicta is making watches that look like RMs. I am dead. This just came up on my feed under like sponsored post. I am dying right now. Invicta Men's 435 15. JM Correa automatic 3-hand transparent light blue dial. Dude, I am dead. This is an Invicta Richard Mille.
I mean, it's only a matter of time. I mean, it really is. I mean, Invicta's kind
I
of like
was wrong. The one collab that could happen.
Look, man, Invicta's kind of like the Spirit Halloween of stores. You know what I mean? Like they just gonna
They'll pop up eventually.
they'll pop up everywhere. They'll steal your designs. It's fine. Like they don't care. They're gonna steal your retail space. It's fine. It's gonna be a thing.
That is hilarious. Yeah, actually, probably one of the funnier memes I saw in a long time. Like, because like the Yankees are kind of bad, and it's like the first time in a long time. Somebody put up like a coming this October, and it was Spirit Halloween on Yankee Stadium. I was like, damn, that's cold.
Always that joke every year, and it's so good.
Anyways, I think that puts feather in the cap for me. This Invicta.
It's like, or his partners with New York Yankees. All of a sudden, they start playing like crap. Or stay away from the Cubs.
Yeah. So this watch is $219 on Amazon, in case you were wondering.
Look, money comes and goes, but drip is forever.
Drip is forever. That's right. That is. Wow, there's a lot of Richard Mille knockoffs on here. But anyway, I'll leave you to that to go down this rabbit hole clearly as I am now. So enjoy that, and we will catch you next week on episode 99 of
99. I love it. We're here episodes,
for it. But a bitch ain't one.
There we go. Peace. There we go. All right, take care, guys.
Later.